For the last 35 years, Miguel Arroyos lived in this house, just 2 blocks away from the sea. But when Hurricane Irene hit this area, the house suffered no major damage from the floods, simply because it's on the lucky side of the neighborhood.
Because you know what happened? That side in there is more low, and this side here is high.
Yet, decades of living close to the beach helps him notice something different about the sea.
Before the water is more far away. Now it's coming more close to the boardwalk.
A recent study showed that Arroyo's observation is actually right. The study of a not-for-profit organization named Climate Central said the sea level has raised about 8 inches since 1880, an increase in a century span that makes everyone's visual observation a guess. The report says sea level rise will continue and accelerate up to about 20 to 80 inches in this century. That will threaten the livelihood of several million people across the nation. Nassau is the country's most vulnerable areas, with about 200,000 residents affected by the end of this century, or 15% of its population. Professor J. Brad Bennington at the Geology Department of Hofstra University said the threat of sea level rise will be deepened by storm surge.
One thing that happens is as sea level rises, that also causes groundwater levels to rise. And so a potential risk is flooding in people's basements and flooding of low-lying areas that didn't normally flood before. But the main risk is from storms. There's a lot of people that live in very low-lying areas along the coast in Nassau County and around Long Island, and even if during normal times they're a few feet above water, during a storm event, when you get a storm surge, they will flood. And if the closer sea level becomes to the level of our infrastructure of our houses and buildings, the more frequently we're going to see that infrastructure flooded during storm events.
According to the research, which started in 2008, with the combination of sea level rise, storm surge, and tide, the flooded areas in Nassau County would count for more than 3% of the country area in 10 years. That number would be 11% at the end of this century. Despite rejections from climate change skeptics, the report says sea level rise is caused by global warming, and Professor Bennington agrees.
And global sea level is rising for a number of reasons. The oceans are getting warmer, and that makes water expand. Ice is melting in mountain tops and in the polar regions, and that water goes back into the oceans.
I've been in the fire service.
John McGuire is the manager of Nassau County Office of Emergency Management. He said whatever the reason for the changes, his job is to prepare for emergencies, to help evacuate, and to protect residents.
As a response agency, sometimes the climate change or global warming, it sometimes takes on a political aspect that is not something that we're not on either side of it. We have to deal with what's in front of us.
Whoa, look at that!
What in front of us might be more of this. An online footage show how bad things were when Hurricane Irene hit Long Beach 2 years ago. On a beautiful sunny day, many on the beach are aware of climate change, but not everyone is enthusiastic to discuss about that. It is something of a distant future and mostly invisible.
I like 2 months ago we had about 80-degree weather. Now it drops down to 50. Is that a concern of yours, or?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think is the cause of that?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's inevitable, I guess. Well, it isn't. We could do things to change that for sure.
What can we do? Like what?
I don't know.
Nassau County local government is one of the most aggressive in the nation to react to sea level rise. Most of the shoreline here has been protected by bulkheads. Flooding control structures are also regulated by localities. However, Professor Bennington says these are only short-term solutions. Residents might just have to move further inland to avoid flooding resulted from sea level rise, a hallmark of the change in the climate, which he says he virtually can see in his garden.
I'm a gardener, and I've noticed that the timing at which plants in my garden pop out of the soil and start to bloom has changed completely. The flowers that were always the first ones to bloom are not the first ones that are blooming anymore.
While scientists differ in what we can do to face sea level rise, back on the beach, Arroyo just believes in none of them.
I think so. The only one that can change it is God. I think so. We in the end of the world already.
Oh, wow.
But some offers other ideas.
What do you think the world should do so that the beach can be the way it is and you can come here and play?
Make it clean. Keep it clean.
Good.
Don't litter everywhere. It hurts the environment. You should be more careful what you do. Like, just don't throw something on the floor. Pick it up and find something to put it in. Something like a garbage.
Professor Bennington adds that everyone can start contributing to the solution just by simple acts like turning off the light if it is not needed, so we can use energy more efficiently.